we're just getting all kinds of creative with this. So this is the Next Spotty vlog. My name is Eli. If you're just joining this for the first time, this is a live video series of medical history. I'm a rock climber, I'm a documentary filmmaker, I have a small team here in North Carolina, and about a year ago I had a diagnosis unexpectedly. Went to the doctor, normal checkup, and I had some low back pain, and they got an x-ray, and my back at the time was broken in half, which was really shocking. And so I did a little literature review before talking to some surgeons. The surgeons that I spoke with said I have to get this really complicated, scary surgery called spinal fusion surgery, and I have no other options. But in my literature review, I found these tiny little articles that no one really was talking about, case studies, so reports of a single patient who had kept going to this one clinic, a chiropractor in Georgia, fixing the condition, the same condition that I have called spondylolisthesis, without this invasive surgery. And so I talked to folks online on some forums and asked, hey, has anyone done this? Has anyone tried this? And no one had, and no one really knew anything about it. And so I decided I'm a documentary filmmaker, why not embark on this journey? I'm doing this vlog series just to give you guys real-time, up-to-date information on where we're at. So I have not resumed treatment yet. I have just a couple of key updates. So the treatment that Dr. Curtis Fedorchuk, that is the chiropractor who patented this method of stretching the break back into place. We have not resumed treatment. That's because we're waiting on the first prototype of at-home tables. His method that has worked with pretty great success, over 300 people that he has treated so far, at least as far as I know. It relies on these tables, and these tables are cumbersome. They take up a lot of space, and they're not something that people can just individually own. They wouldn't really fit easily in a lot of rooms. And so I've been working with the guy that creates these tables and provides them for Curtis, Dr. Fedorchuk, to actually create a patient usable, rentable, a table that you could travel with and that collapses, that you could actually perform these treatments with assistance, with specific measurements on your own. And then once you're done fully reversing your condition, you could return it. And the last that I heard from them was late March. So later this month, I'm gonna visit him. We're gonna conduct measurements with his version of this table, and then I will try to replicate that on my own with my own version of this table. So I'm super stoked. I want to get this fixed. As a reminder, right now I'm about halfway fixed according to x-rays. I have yet to get a second MRI. I've only had my first MRI. But what I really want to talk about is the symptomatic treatment that I have personally been experimenting with in the meantime while I wait to resume my stretching, which is something called shockwave therapy or extracorporeal shockwave therapy. I mentioned this in the last vlog, but to give you guys a rundown, this is a science that's been around since actually the 1980s. It was the same technology that was used originally to break kidney stones or mineral deposits in the body. In fact, I'll show you some OG pictures of original shockwave using these huge devices that you just held really close to the body, and doctors would use this to break up mineral deposits inside of our bodies, and it worked really well. And it was sort of by accident, in a couple of years later on down the line, researchers discovered that actually it had all these other properties when you tune down the energy level. And so it's actually used a lot now, predominantly in Europe, in sports medicine and orthopedic research. Shockwave is known to actually take those non-union bone fractures and lead them to fusion. It's also known to help connective tissues, so joints, and those complex collagen networks that have not healed, perhaps from aggravated use, from tears, and actually, again, stimulate local cells to basically come in to that injury site, perhaps a very old injury, and restart that regenerative process. I'm super excited. I mean, there's a lot of data on this, and really it's It's unfortunate because it seems like it's very common again in Europe, but it's not very common in the United States. And unfortunately, I think that that's mostly because it's not very profitable. It appears to be actually highly successful, specifically with tendinopathies or these overuse injuries in joints. Since about January, I've been going to a clinic and I get about 20 to 30 minutes of Shockwave per session. We hit all around my spondy, so all around my L5-S1, as well as a lot of the adjacent supporting structures, so the paraspinals, flexors and extensors around my hips, near my SI joint. So we're really sort of hitting that whole structural unit. And in terms of immediate pain relief, really, I did not expect to basically just like walk away after 2 or 3 sessions feeling like I don't have an injury anymore. I'm sure I do. I'm sure a lot of that damage is still there. I don't believe that Shockwave could really contribute to reversing the slip, but that's not why I went. I went because I wanted to help those structures that I have been physically stretching back into their original alignment to strengthen, to heal in that partial reversal. And I was feeling a lot of strain, a lot of muscle soreness, a lot of tendon soreness. And so Shockwave, at least from a symptom perspective, in only about, I don't know, a 6-week period, it's fantastic, like absolutely remarkable. Like Shockwave has been the most helpful thing to address my pain and just my daily experience living with this and going throughout the treatment. So I'm excited because my plan is to pause on Shockwave until we can resume that treatment. And then most likely what I'll do is if we can stretch the spondy completely back to no slippage and I have essentially a normal back as far as my bones are concerned, I will resume Shockwave to try to stimulate really long-term healing. Again, the greatest research on Shockwave is just the fact that it seems to kickstart our body's innate ability to heal after a trauma incident. And that makes sense because essentially what it's doing is, on a microscopic level, it's stimulating little micro traumas, and then trigger local growth factors, trigger local stem cells to come in and say, oh, actually, let's actually fix this joint area. Let's actually heal this bone structure that's damaged. So that's my biggest update, y'all. I'm feeling really good. I've been able to resume my life. I'm doing a lot of PT, and Shockwave seriously has been a night and day difference for me in terms of just my general well-being.
Despite the fact that humanity has failed many of us over and over, we still have a love for humanity, and we always will. And really, it sounds kind of kitschy, but this is why we do it. We care about humans.
So yeah, I'm super grateful to the clinic, Tina and John, for offering me this. I happened to meet them over December, just truly by amazing coincidence, and I'm so grateful for them. For the help and the literal physical healing that I'm feeling from their clinic, from their device. And honestly, their story as to how they started offering this is beautiful and something I'm excited to share with you all in the documentary about this once my journeys come to an end. So that's the update this week, y'all. Stay safe.